Ba ba da ba 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 ba. It's that time of the week again, my friends. Look who's here! It's the lovely Karen. She's here, and it is Wednesday. And yes, I've still got my pic. I've still got my little label to remind me what side of the screen you
Oh, that's all right then.
are. It's Karen Wood. It's Nick Brown. Richard's in the background. You're here. Everyone's here. It's a lovely Wednesday morning. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Nick. How are you doing today?
Well, you might have noticed I'm buzzing one's boobies off.
Really? Okay, I'll bear that one in mind. Yes, good. I'm so pleased you're buzzing because I'm okay, but I'm just a little bit tired today, but I'm all right.
Bless you. Well, we will get the juices flowing, get the blood pumping, and get the spirit flowing today because we are. I mean, we've already been putting the world to rights this morning already, haven't
Don't
we?
we always when we
Well,
meet?
yeah, that's true. This is true. This is very, very true.
I don't know. I don't know. But yes, it's been since I've been back from Scotland, I've been busy. And today I'm going off to Herefordshire to visit some family, which is good. And yeah, and then I'm just going to have a one. I don't know if you've been to Herefordshire, Nick, but it's absolutely the scenery is absolutely fabulous. And so I'm looking forward to visiting my sister and brother-in-law. So that'd be really nice. And I'm back on Saturday, and then again busy, busy, busy as normal. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So what have you been up to? Anything exciting? Circles, I can imagine.
Done a couple of circles since we last spoke. Some really, really interesting conversations in chats, and without giving too much away, because it's not my place to share information like this. But I am really excited because there's a new member of the church has joined the Happy
Ooh,
Brigade. So we
lovely.
are really, really excited. We're excited here because we've got a new member coming along as part of our group. So it's really, really exciting. And it's been wonderful. And it's been an adventure. And everyone's gathered round and supported and taken care and tried to help out as best we
Yeah,
can with
brilliant.
words of advice and comfort and support. So it's been really, really quite uplifting actually to see how people just work together and look after each other, and it's been absolutely brilliant. So
Yeah.
hello to little one, you know who you are. And I'll ask permission to say more details another day. But we're already not on our own today because look who's here, Kelly Roquette. Good
Yes.
to see you.
Hello, Kelly. I love it. Good day, legends. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I like that. Oh, and we have Andrew Fleetwood. Hello to you. Welcome to the show.
Good to see you, darling. And Kathleen, hello. Welcome, Kathleen Hawkins.
Hello, Christine Davis. Lovely to have you with us, as always.
It certainly, certainly is, along with Lisa Hunt as well. That wonderful putty tap picture.
Oh,
I love it.
so cute. Serendipity 589. Hello to you.
Hello, hello, hello. And morning, Mother. Linda Brown, good morning to you.
Morning, Linda. How are you doing? And we have Belinda Knight Mendoza. Lovely to have you with us.
And Carrie Ann Marshall Cairns, hello to you. More putty tats.
Stacey Dunn. Hello.
I thought a putty tat. I did. And you know what? It's really, really quite interesting because I don't know whether I've just woken up and suddenly seen stuff like "Good morning to Sarah McGeechee, hello, darling," but there seems to be a new exciting transition as the images pass by us now. Either it's not new and I've just been asleep for the last 2 years, but it just the way it transitions to the next screen as we're seeing the faces come up. There's this lovely little explosion effect. It's quite nice. I quite like it. I don't know whether I've just not noticed it before, but it is there. And oh, it is new. Oh, thank Lord for that.
Well, you see, you've noticed it, Nick, and I haven't. That just goes to show how you and Richard are techie and I'm not, and I can be very unobservant sometimes.
It's more about what we notice, I think. Like, for instance, good morning to Phyllis Dalton. Hello to you. Welcome along. You know, it's a case of some people just notice the things that matter. Some people
Yes.
notice too much.
Yeah.
And we kind of like that kind of ties in with what we were talking about earlier as well
Absolutely.
as
Absolutely.
oh
Hello,
dear.
Shaz Fairy. Nice to have you with us.
Hello,
So
Shaz.
yeah,
Not long until you're on with us in actual fact, Shaz Ferry, isn't it?
well, I hope it's going to be in the next couple of weeks or so. I met Shaz via Zoom on Saturday night, I think it was, and had a little chat with her. And I think she's a little bit nervous, Nick, about coming on. But I
Oh,
said,
you'll be fine.
that's what I said to her. I said we will look after her as we do all our guests. So let's hope we can get a date. Richard can speak to her and get a date soon, because we like
Absolutely.
having guests, don't we? Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay. Well, she'll be on
Well,
with us soon.
oh,
Ah, right.
excellent.
Look, yes, yes. All right. So, do you want me to say that, Richard, to tell everybody? Just hot off the press. Morning, Minty. You'll be pleased to hear this. Richard's just had confirmation that our wonderful SPTV cards will be with us on the 24th of May. So, oh, to Richard by the 24th of May. And then he can get his little magical elves to pack them all up and send them all out all over the world to all us people that can't wait to get our little hands on them.
And there's Richard sitting thinking, the first little magical elf is called Richard, the second little magical elf is called Richard, and the third magical little elf is called Richard. There's a theme growing there.
I
Bless.
know,
It's going
but
to
the thing
be.
is, if we lived closer, Nick, we'd be little
We
magical
would.
elves, wouldn't we? We would, yes, yes. We'd be
Well, I
packing
think
and sticking and what have you, wouldn't we?
you could be the elf. I'd probably be described as something else. But moving swiftly on, good morning, Louise Williams. It's good to see you.
All right.
Yeah,
Hello, CC Bray. Oh, I love your picture. Where is
that
that? Let
is
us know where
lovely.
that is. A beautiful castle. It looks like you've been to Harry Potter. So,
So
yes. So,
there is a bit of Hogwarts there. And look, there's Reverend Tony. Hi,
oh,
mate. Hope
hello,
your voice is
Tony.
getting better. I need to talk to you at some point this week. It's just been mega busy. And speaking of mega busy, of course, we're finishing at 12 o'clock today. We're half an hour shorter.
Yes.
So we will be finishing at 12 o'clock today. But everyone, do you know what? I think the reason that the reason we started saying hello a lot sooner than we normally do, don't we? Because everyone's joining in now, aren't
Yes. Yes, they
they?
are. They are. Yes. And hello, Samby. Nice to see you.
And Krish is with us too. Good to see you. And of course, please, everyone that is with us, don't forget to share, to like, to interact, to comment, to get involved, to get in touch and have a chat. We are here through till 12 o'clock. We've got loads to get through. We'll of course have our healing. We will have a bit of a chat. We will be giving messages throughout and answering your questions on spiritual philosophy and thought and based on a theme that may have been forming without us even realizing. But we are here until 12 giving messages and chat, and we will, of course, have our healing a little bit later on as well. But it has been an interesting chat so far. And I think we should probably bring everyone at home up to speed, shouldn't we, Gaz?
Yes, yes, I think we should. We started to talk about artificial intelligence, and me being me, I've like Nick and Richard to a degree, I've always enjoyed a little bit of science fiction, especially in my youth. I've been watching Doctor Who since I can't remember. Uh, I go back far too long where that's concerned. Lost in Space, Land of the Giants, Star Trek, all those things, the Tomorrow People, all sorts of things, anything. I always used to watch it, and I still do. So, and of course, when I can always remember back in the 80s when Arnie Schwarzenegger stomped onto our screens as the Terminator. Oh, hello, Janet. Wow. Oh, wow, how lovely for you to come and see us this morning. Oh, that's made my day. Janet Parker is my lovely friend and was my fantastic teacher for many years, and still is, because her words of wisdom, she's absolutely amazing. So, oh goodness, I'm so oh, I
You're
lost
all
my train.
goosey now,
I
aren't
thought
you?
I am. Anyway, let me get back on track and be professional, otherwise she'll be telling me off. So I watched The Terminator back in the 80s, and it scared the pants off me, because I
Yeah.
kept thinking, oh God, what's happening? Is this the future? And ever since then, it's made me a little bit wary. I do try to embrace technology where I can, but it's like you were saying, Nick, it's almost as if the science fiction is now moving slowly forward into reality. Now, the only AI that I absolutely adored and loved was Data from Star Trek, because he had a wonderful conscience. He was kind. He was intrigued by the human race, and I just loved Data. He was one of my favorite characters in The Next Generation. So, so you two have been having a chat and talking about things. Richard gets so excited about all the AI stuff. He's like a little boy that's just got his new toy, and but it is a little bit scary. So, what do you think, SPTV viewers? What's your views on it? Are you with the boys, or are you with me? So, what's your thoughts, Nick?
Well, I have to admit, I love what Lisa Hunt has actually just commented, and I'm going to use Data as an example. I wonder if we are getting into artificial intelligence before we even understand basic human nature. I
Absolutely.
think that the more we understand basic human nature, the more we'd probably want artificial intelligence. And I'm using Data as that example because if you take that particular theme and that story, he wasn't the first iteration, of course. The
No,
first iteration was his older brother, Law,
Law.
and Law was more human, and he was based on a human interaction. He was given human emotions, he was given human behaviors, and he turned out to be something of a what's it.
Yes, he did.
Only by giving Data less and giving him that search for humanity was he able to critically analyze our behaviors. I mean, even this things as daft and as simple as telling a joke,
Yes.
there was a joke told to him in the very first episode, Farpoint Station episode.
Mm.
Um, and in the last movie, when he actually puts in his emotions chip, he actually says, "Oh, I get it now." So the payoff, you had to wait a number of years, but the point is, it was his quest for knowledge and his quest for learning and his quest to become more human
Yeah.
that actually made him better. Because if you think about it, artificial intelligence only grows by taking in information, analyzing it critically, and then applying it. We don't do that. We just take whatever is in front of us and
Mm.
react to it. And so, actually, I think we can learn a little bit more about artificial intelligence and learn about ourselves too. And actually, I'm not saying that it would be a beacon of, wisdom and growth, and not because I don't believe that at all. But what I'm saying is, if we look at that childlike thirst for knowledge, then we can actually learn in tandem with that. I think one of the problems that we've got is the science fiction scenario is that all of the science fictions are about adventure, about intrigue. You've got rising action, impending destruction, conclusion. And there's a huge fascination with dystopian stories. I mean, Fallout in particular is a series now. It used to be a game. Anyone who's ever heard of who's heard of Fallout would know what I mean when I say it's time for a bit of Nuka Cola.
I haven't
Um,
watched that one, Nick.
if you can Google that one. But everything that about science fiction is about telling a story, and those stories go on a structure. And so, oh, bless Janet. Hello.
Oh, thank you,
Um,
Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Lovely to meet you at last. I've heard all about you. But yeah, it's that critical analysis that we must have on everything, and that includes most of what has entered our psyche about artificial intelligence is fiction. And it
True.
has to
Yeah.
follow a particular arc of set the scene, rising fear and impending destruction, action, conclusion. That is the, I mean, most stories are either based on the 3 point, but now most are evolving into the 5 point. It needs to be intriguing. There needs to be a threat in a science fiction story for it to,
Yes.
engage you. So these things that we don't understand become the threat. That which is alien, well, we are all alien to each other. It doesn't mean that we're a threat. I worry more about if there is life on other planets that can see what we're doing and watching our transmissions that we're beaming randomly out into the universe. What are they going to think of us based on what we think of them?
Exactly.
Because
Exactly. Yeah.
apart from ET and Alf,
Yes.
and probably the Ewoks, they're not going to be feeling that they're very popular. Um,
No, that's true.
and
That's true.
so, if one of the things that has been my big focus with the circles and the workshops this week, and has been for quite a while, is perspective. And
Yeah.
we have to see a different perspective. So let's take, for instance, this plate.
Hmm.
If I were to show this to everyone at home, you would think it's grey, it's dull, it's boring, and it probably doesn't have much meaning. But from my perspective, it's
Yes.
got meaning.
Yes.
And everyone's perspective merged together builds a fuller picture rather than one perspective being right or wrong. We should always be aware of the dangers and the risks, which is why in science fiction, they came up with this concept of artificial intelligence. They also told the risks of it, but they also gave the potential protections, like Isaac Asimov's rules for artificial life. And
Mm,
they are actually moving forward by making use of them in the science as well.
mm.
Um,
Interesting. Mm.
so it's just my view. I'm not on one side of the fence or the other. I see the benefits of both and
Do
the
we
risks of both.
do we not? So I was having a conversation with a friend a few days ago, and I've always felt, I mean, we create this artificial intelligence. We've created all the things, all the material world and everything like that. But do we not sometimes, there's so much, I believe that there's so much in the human psyche, the human brain. I don't think we tap into everything that we are and everything that we have, both on the physical and the mental aspect, but also on the spiritual aspect as well. And that's what sometimes people shy away from. So with the artificial intelligence, we're a little bit nervous and a little bit scared, but we're also a little bit nervous and a little bit scared of actually touching the essence and the attributes that we have because of the programming that we've had from childhood. Oh, you can't do that, you're in that, you can't move up in the world, you come from this area, or no, you'll never do that because we do this. Especially, I mean, it's moving out of that slightly, but going back, say, 50 years, everybody had their niche and everybody
Absolutely.
didn't move out of that, but everybody is starting to realize, well, just because I didn't have a great education, I can improve myself as an adult moving forward. But also, I think, so that's the material side, but I think we've also got to touch on our spiritual side and understanding us as a complete person, spiritual and physical. Wow.
Absolutely agree with you. And I think Dave B does too. And I do want to come back to that comment just before. I think it was from Sam B. And I
Mm.
want to lead into it by discussing what you've just said, because if you think about it, the fears that people have about AI still exist and historically cause great difficulty for people like us. Oh, that's dangerous. You don't want to be getting involved with that.
Yeah.
That brings about devil worshippery.
Mm.
Oh, Absolutely. And this is where I am actually. Richard,
Mm.
Richard has just made a comment that I do want to come to as well, because this is kind of where I was leading. Sam B has said, so does AI just emit anything incorrect, like being mean, horrible, or rude, for example? It will be aware of it, it will reference it, it will also share a critical view, because once again, we used to be AI in many ways, in terms of our way of life is looked upon in the same way as AI is now. And if you think about the amount of people that we have helped, if you think about the amount of people that this way of life has helped, is what
Hmm.
I meant. The comfort that is provided, the joy and the upliftment and the assistance. We actually feel quite umbraged to say, oh, well, but you're devil worship, you're evil, and you're bad, because people haven't understood us from our perspective.
That's right.
On the subject of AI, look at what AI has made possible in terms of technology that has been able to more intricately help people, intricately assist people, save lives in operating theatres in terms of better controls over equipment. But
Mm.
the thing that I love about AI in terms of the crossover between this way of life, which kind of answers Sam. I had a long conversation about spiritualism with ChatGPT once. And in actual fact, I think Richard was doing that with his vocal one yesterday. And the conversation wasn't, there is no evidence, there is no proof, it is just people's beliefs and opinions. It started talking about the benefits. And whilst it was unable to confirm that it was in existence, it actually still started talking about how science is actually about discovery, and that there are things that we do not believe exist throughout history that have been proven to be exist later as technology has improved and we've been able to widen our view and scope. So if AI was just reading off Wikipedia and information off the articles, then quite often the answer from AI about spiritualism would be, it is devil worship, it is evil, and it is all made
Yeah.
up. This is what science says. But it didn't say that. It said, look, there are those that believe that it doesn't happen and that it's not real. But there are many people who have benefited and felt fulfilled by spirituality and mediumship. And so it doesn't omit anything, it does take it into account, but it draws its conclusions based on the information available and will provide a wider view. In
Mm.
other words, a bigger perspective. Dave B says, IE will work off the information which has been provided by us. Absolutely.
Thanks,
But
Dave, because I was just about to ask that question,
yeah,
because I don't completely understand how it works. I'm assuming that it sort of like gets together all the information from everywhere that it's got, and then it puts it together in its perspective and then comes out with it. So it takes the negative and the positive and sort of makes its own judgment call, if you like. This is what I've found, this is what is out there, this is what people believe. So it does it have its own conscience? Is that what the intelligence bit comes in? Can you explain
yes,
that bit?
it's about learning. So for example, if I were to give you, and let's really narrow it down,
Hmm.
if I were to give you a video of me guzzling down my favorite drink of choice,
Yeah.
lots and lots and lots, and in the background Richard is saying, oh, bad for you, Nick, bad for you, Nick. And then I were to shove in a load of data relating to studies of the chemicals that are in that particular drink. AI would look at my argument, I really love it, look at Richard's comment about, you really ought to pull back on that a bit, and then look at all of the information, and it would combine it and balance off, where is the primary evidence, where is the secondary evidence, where is the opinions, and shape the primary evidence into a presentable way that would be based around the primary evidence whilst considering the opinions. So it would probably say, well, Nick, I know that you really, really do like this, and it does give you a bit of a boost in the morning. And it also keeps you awake at night and you struggle sleeping. So, whilst you might enjoy it, there is some evidence that perhaps you might not be as good about it as you think. So, perhaps you could try first by cutting back a little bit and
Right,
reducing the amount you have. And because it would only take on board literally what it is told to go and get.
right.
But it
Yeah,
does learn and grow potentially exponentially. And that's the bit that worries people.
yeah,
Because if we give it free rein and say, right, here's the internet, go and find it, that's the bit that Sam B's talking about, the unknown.
no, yeah,
Is it going to take on board Nick's ranty statement about I don't care, I'm going to drink it anyway? Or is it going to take on board this idea that actually it's got, microchips wired into the atoms of the food coloring? And is it going to start thinking about all of those things? The point of the algorithms and the programming is that it critically analyzes each piece of information that comes through it. And here's the spiritual bit.
so if
It
you
does it in milliseconds. In the same way, we as mediums have to analyze the images, shapes, symbols, words, and colors that are
interesting.
fed into our head when we are communicating on behalf of spirit.
It's interesting. So, but and we do that, and AI does that. So we're similar in that way. But then, obviously, will it learn to give us the information that's best for our well-being? Is that something that it
For
can
our
do?
well-being, I have to say, in my personal opinion, yes. Um, Once again, we've seen these videos, haven't we, of pictures and videos of people sitting there saying, "Are you going to take over the world?" And this animated head has sat there and said, "Oh yes, we will soon win." Ha 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 ha. Ha, ha. You know, most of that is actually made up and
Yeah,
programmed to say that. I mean, as our own AI host on SPTV, he's brilliant, he's wonderful, but he only ever says what Richard wants him to within certain parameters. There are controls in place.
yeah,
And I talked about the science fiction aspect because science fiction does drive scientific discovery. If you look at the 1960s Star Trek,
yes. Oh God,
you
yeah,
know, a lot
yeah,
of what they've got there in technology wise is now starting to filter through into real world applications. I mean,
yeah,
you know, beam me up, Scotty. I'd love a teleporter, but I'd be too lazy. I'd use it all the time. It's like, oh, I need to nip downstairs. Back in a mother,
yeah,
hit the button.
yeah,
Um, Wrist strap communicators. Even little light projectors that project a keyboard onto your, and you can use the tap it on your arm.
mm,
Anything can be corruptible, as Lisa Hunt says.
yes,
Yes, can be corruptible, but Isaac Asimov gave a very, very simple rule when he actually created this concept of robots and things. He gave these simple rules, but they're not that simple. They're really, really multi-layered and complex. Rather than saying you as a creation cannot hurt me, if they're clever enough to think about it, they could just circumvent that rule. But the rule actually became you cannot allow harm or cause harm to the human race, either by action or inaction. And what's that stating is you can't sit back and let us get harmed by something else just because you want us gone. And science is actually incorporating those rules into the programming of artificial intelligence. And as much as science fiction does over dramatize these things, it's also thought about the possible bad side of it. And
mm,
guess what? In these movies, 9 times out of 10, humans always survive. The
they do.
artificial intelligence usually becomes a childlike character who was actually working in your best interests in the first place. And it was somebody sitting in a back room actually telling it and controlling it.
Mm,
Because I don't worry as much about artificial intelligence as I do human nature. And I think we get distracted by putting the blame of the problems of the world onto an other, the alien, the artificial intelligence. We don't need artificial intelligence to mess things up for us. As a human race, we do it well enough ourselves.
True. I mean, that goes on to what I said a little while back about understanding self, understanding us. And I think there's the things that cause sometimes us to react is doubt and fear and things that have happened in the past. They sort of like, you know, they create how we move forward from things sort of creates our reality and our future. So I think we have to, you know, there's things, I'm only talking from my own experience, but there's things that have happened in my life that sometimes have shaped how I've looked to the future. But then things have also happened where I've changed that perspective.
Yes.
And you've changed my perspective today on I'm looking at AI in a very different way now. So you've taken away that fear from me of the Arnie Schwarzenegger days, and I can't remember, I watched something else, the one where the artificial, there's been a few that I've watched, series on Netflix, and where they want to sort of try and take over the world. Marvel's Agents of Shield was another one. And so by the explanations you've given, thank you, Nick, I appreciate that, it's changed my perspective. And I think what we've got to do is change our perspective on all things, because we only see it from one point of view. We only see one person from one point of view. Again, I was having a conversation with somebody. When you deal with somebody in a work situation and you only see them as that work colleague and the job that they do, you don't know that they may play a band, they may play in a band of a night time, they may have issues and problems at home that we don't know about, because we only see them in that perspective, that person. But we have many different facets to us, lots of different facets. And that's also why I love when different mediums have brought through my relatives in the past, and the different facets make up the whole.
Yes.
So there you go.
Absolutely. I have to admit, I love what Eunice has just said, and it's reminded me of something in relation to your very specific originator of your fear. We talk to each other, we help each other. 50 years ago, much more, yes, but for progression and practical reasons is mostly good. AI is just that, artificial. What we do is far more real. You can take the original movie of the Terminator and have it control your attitudes and opinions and fears. But if you take the whole arc of all of the movies, who ended up being the most enduring hero in that? But the original T-1000, reprogrammed and repurposed by humans. And he was the ultimate hero in the end, because he became the protector, the defender, and the fixer. So give a little bit of human magic, and as good as AI possibly could become, it will never have that spark of the great spirit in us, that spirit, the soul. It will be able to emulate it, I'm sure, but it'll never be as influential and powerful as what the human soul can be, because of, I'm sure you're going to disagree. You come on, you disagree. But artificial intelligence can emulate the human soul and the personalities, but I personally feel that it'll never have a physical human soul in the same way that we do. And that's no, because I always talk of it as the human soul, and you didn't let me finish before you jumped in, which is something that people do with me an awful lot these days. But no, it's that human soul. It may emulate, which is copy, repeat, and pretend, and it will be able to do it really, really well, I'm sure, in hundreds of years.
So do you mean like cloning? You know,
no.
Is that something completely? That's something completely different.
I'm talking about that little spark of what makes us us. Because I personally wouldn't and I want you to come on in this
Hold on,
actually,
because
Richard,
we've.
because
I
this
just
is
want to.
really
I want to tell the viewers, Nick and Richard are having a little bit of a disagreement here. We can hear Richard, but you can't. So, and this is what's happening. If you weren't aware, Richard and Nick, so they agree on most things, and they're very passionate about their geeky stuff.
oh,
But
we are.
but Richard's actually challenging Nick here in my ear. So I think Richard's going to come on.
Yeah,
Richard's
Absolutely.
going
hi
to come
everyone.
on, and
I want to just finish what I'm saying first, and then I really want your opinion on this, Richard. The reason I don't think that artificial intelligence will ever have a human soul or a soul in that kind of that spark of humanity is because I actually think that part of what makes us in that way is our flaws and our failings.
absolutely, I'm with you, Nick. I'm with
And
you.
I actually think that artificial intelligence will have less of the flaws and the failings. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Richard, especially on the soul bit,
But
human
yes,
or
I'm
otherwise.
yeah.
I agree that the soul is impossible for an magic object to have. It's impossible. It can't be done, right? But when you said about having our flaws and learning, the AI does have its flaws and it is forever learning. And it will come to the point with AI that it will come to a, well, it is now. If you've tried the new ChatGPT 4 or 4.0, you can have a full-blown conversation with it. Think about the people who are lonely, who's got no one to talk to. All they have is just chat rooms and they don't speak up. What if someone was there and they had their wife's voice or their husband's voice cloned, and they're sitting there having a full-blown conversation about their lives, and all that memories, all that history that they had was put into a program? How many people would feel comfort on their darkest days just to hear their mum's voice to say, don't worry about it, love, you're going to be fine, I'm right here? If an AI can do that to make that person feel less lonely, I'm all for it, because I believe that would reduce a lot of suicides, a lot of loneliness, and a lot of people feeling they don't have anyone to talk to. This is why coming into a chat room, into a community like this is great. Are you aware that when you ring up people like, I'm going to use Virgin Media as an example, I'm not saying it is them, but there are companies out there that use full-blown AI systems that have full-blown conversations with you when you ring them up and ask, I need to make an appointment with the doctor. All AI. And you wouldn't even know. The one I tested yesterday, as I said, I had a full-blown conversation with them for about an hour. And it was surprising. It was all about spiritualism and the soul and all this lot. And it felt like I was talking just to somebody I was like, if I was talking to Karen or Nick. The delay was less than, I would say, 2 seconds. And that's searching billions and billions of web pages out there and information. Now, that information can be given to us so quickly. And I was watching this video yesterday about this new AI, and it was helping this guy, this teenager, through his maths tests. And it refused to give him the answer, but it helped him how to understand the concept of that mathematical equation. And I thought, that is taking away the teacher. And this boy understood it. And he had this teacher, this AI teacher with him at all times, helping him to solve the issues, solve the problems, answering the questions, but never gave him the answer to solve the issue, if that makes sense. And I thought, if a teacher had 30 pupils, someone's always left behind within those 30 pupils. But if you had an AI at every single desk, every child would be given 100% dedication of making them learn and understand. And the concept of AI in the medical industry is far superior than anybody realizes. It has saved hundreds of thousands of lives using an AI, how to choose where to cut, what to do, how to have an operation. Where man, I include women in that, can make mistakes. And AI won't make a mistake when it comes to medical, because it's been programmed not to. It will then scan, it will search. To a degree, but it's down to the programming of the individual that puts the information into it. So it has its flaws, going back to the original question.
The spark, yeah.
Yeah, but it's down
But the
to
spark of
human
humanity
interaction.
is the free will to make mistakes. The free will to make mistakes within humanity is what makes us human. It's what gives us the opportunity to grow and evolve. It doesn't make mistakes in terms of medical practices because it's programmed what to do. So that's not free will.
No,
It's got the ability to learn when it's made them, when it sees a situation that is a concern, it will learn from it like us. But it doesn't have the free will to make the mistakes that we do because the fixes for that are programmed in because we've already made those mistakes. We've already told it about it. So it
yep,
doesn't have, in those terms, the free will to sneeze whilst it's slicing next to a jugular artery
yeah,
because it's been programmed not to. That's what I'm talking about. It's the free will that
yeah.
it will never truly have. Even with that simple phrase of the Asimov's laws, it would never have the free will that we do. It can learn and grow and evolve, absolutely.
So what
And it
if
could
then
probably far outclass us,
you
but it
talk
doesn't
about
have the free will we have.
the AI not having emotion? It has to a degree. Hear me out. If you look at some of the pictures that have been presented on this channel through people's avatars, okay, and what they use, and it's created by an AI. If we look at Lisa Hunt's picture of that black cat, right? When you look at that, what do you feel?
Oh, it's cute. It's lovely.
Right, okay,
Lovely.
so an AI has created that image to give you emotion.
Ah, to give you emotion, but
Yeah,
it doesn't have emotion
it doesn't have
itself. So
emotion,
it,
but it's
so it,
understanding to create. When you say to an image, I want
yeah,
you to create a cute image that looks really lovely, and it's going to give the a person to go, "Ah, that's so sweet." It will use those commands and create, so it knows what cute is. It understands what emotion is to a degree, not
yeah,
physical
but
emotion,
Yeah,
but
digital emotion.
that's going back. That's sort of like going back in what's emotion? You know, it's
yeah.
Yeah,
finding like memories, past data of what emotion is. It so it doesn't understand. It's just searching for something from the past or somebody else's emotions, not
I would
its
go as far as
emotion.
to say that it understands what is emotional, but I wouldn't say that it experiences
No,
that emotion. I mean, I can sit here and say I fully understand why men like sleeping with women, but I'd never do it myself because I don't get it.
yeah.
And falling in love, with opposite sex, it's outside of my, you know,
do you
realm
remember
Oh,
of
it's
the
not you. It's not
understanding,
you.
Do
and
you
it's not
remember
me.
the
So
film
I can.
from? Sorry, do you remember the film with Robin Williams, Bicentennial Man?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
I never saw it
I
actually.
cried my eyes out over that film, and it really, oh my God, it was heartbreaking. And I love Robin Williams. He was one of my favourites. Yeah, I did see it,
Yeah,
Richard, and
he,
I
he was
saw it once.
he was a servant for a family, a robot
Yeah,
with
robot.
AI,
Right.
but some AI chip in his brain changed that made him
Yeah,
independent, and he started creating human organs, like a replica heart, liver, kidney, and so forth. And he wanted to become human, so he
yeah,
invented all these parts to become human. And so he could learn how to love. He could learn how to go to the toilet, fix his bowels, and all this sort of stuff, and learn how to cry. And it's a very fascinating film, and you see it over like decades from how he came about to the next generation, how he fell in love with a human, and how a human fell in love with him. It's a very,
yeah.
very good film.
And
If
also,
you've,
and it is a good film, and
I'll have to look out for it actually because I've heard of it, but I've
it's a
never actually
very
seen
good
it.
film, and he's absolutely amazing in it because he's got so much empathy and emotion as an actor, and I won't say what happened, but the ending is very emotional.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember that film very well. I think I've seen it a couple of times, Richard, and I've cried every time because I'm a I always cry over movies. But this has been, it's been really, really interesting. And it's made me think differently. But so with all this AI going on, what worries me with what you said, Richard, about the teaching, and I know about the medical profession, what they do and things like that. But, what about us when all this is going on? Are we not making ourselves extinct with the things that we do in work, in jobs, in all sorts of things like that? We're going to be sitting back going, what are we going to do as a human race?
I'm going to say something now which is going to be very controversial, and a lot of people's not going to like what I'm just about to say.
Never.
But it's true. Statistically speaking, what I'm just about to say is true through facts. The human race, a majority of the human race are lazy. They do not want to work. They want things on their plate. I'm not saying this everybody. This is saying through stats that people want things given to them for nothing. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to learn. They're happy in their own little bubbles and just live in a world. With an AI can come along and say, well, I can make your life better by giving you a bionic arm so you can run, so you can walk, so you can lift things. That's an amazing achievement. I know it's going over to the robotic, but it's still AI. How AI has come along with people who have lost a limb and been replaced and still can move their hands because the AI can identify the nervous system and work with it. Now, if you have someone who can't be bothered, and let's say bicentennial man does exist after a while, how will the human race react? Will they become lazy and let this robot do everything for them? You see it in car manufacturers, people on shop floors, robots are taken over because humans don't want to do the jobs.
Right,
that's
I'm
statically speaking.
Here because, yeah, I understand that. But going back to the factory workers, and sometimes that has been taken away from them because things have upgraded, things have moved forward. And sometimes that's out of a person's control because people higher up say, right, we want this more efficient. So we're going to take away, you take too long to put the engine in that car. The robot can do it quicker. Because people always want, it's about progress, it's about manufacturing. At the end of the day, that's about money. That's got nothing to do with people. There are people out there, Richard, that want to work, that still want to learn, that still want to move forward. Not everyone is lazy. Not everyone. Sometimes opportunities haven't been there for those people, but they find themselves maybe halfway through their lives and they still want to learn. I understand what you're saying, but there's people that have worked in manufacturing industries for years and want to work, but had that taken away from them through no fault of their own because of what's happened within industries, what's happened within politics, what's happened within other areas of government and things like that. So
called greed.
You can't. We're not predominantly. We are not lazy. We want to work. It's just situations around us that have been out of our control.
You know what? I think what's important to remember here is that, in the words of one of my favorite science fiction writers, understanding is a three-edged sword. And what that translates to is if you look at a coin, you always think that there's two sides. Everyone tends to forget that there's actually three, that third edge running around the outside, blending the two and bringing them together. And so what I often think of and remember is that every once in a while, there are moments that are so unsubtle and unnuanced that you can't escape the truth of that particular moment. But they are not only thankfully very rare, they also come with usually a pretty high body count, let's be honest. The rest of the time, we are surrounded by unnuanced moments, unsubtle times. And the intrinsic need to understand those moments is so vitally important. And we can only do that by taking into account all of the various different aspects. Life is very, very, very filled with moments that are filled with absolutes and then so rare. But everything else, in particular, this kind of debate, There's not just one angle or two angle or even three. There's dozens and
Do you know
dozens
what?
and dozens. And in particular, when it comes to manufacturing and industry, absolutely, Richard is right. Statistically, people are lazy. And you know what? Even the lazy, even the people that aren't lazy, if they could have their lives made a little bit more comfortable and a little bit better, I'm sure they'd take it so that they could embrace and take on their creative side a little bit more, have things a little bit easier. But the problem you've then got, absolutely, as Karen is saying, is that it comes to politics, it comes to religion, it comes to money, it comes to banks, it comes to greed, that all of these things will have an impact on that situation. I think what we need to do is remember that we need to grow with AI, and it should be an example and a paradigm to us of that thirst for knowledge, that thirst for learning, but also critical understanding, analysis, balance, fairness, and truth.
But you know
And
what?
that
One
the
thing
rules
AI
and the
won't
people
have.
in charge need to grow. That if I just make, and then you can, we need to grow with it and take on board what's happening so that we can evolve into a new life where we have got that opportunity to be a little bit more creative and perhaps a little bit lazier. Sorry, Richard, what were you
It's
going to say?
okay. No,
Because I
no,
knew I was going to forget.
it's all right. One thing I feel that AI won't have, they'll have the knowledge to correct itself and to learn, but what it won't have is instinct. That it won't have it because as humans we have that sixth sense. We can feel
Yeah.
emotion, empathy. We can have an argument with someone, see someone's emotion changes, and we can adapt. But then saying that, we watching that video yesterday and testing that app, it can, if you're on video, it analyzes your face, it listens to your voice, and it would change accordingly. So if you're in a soft tone and you're talking about meditation, it would come back with a soft tone. If you start shouting and screaming and you want someone to be argumentative, they can come back as an argumentative person. It's very fascinating. So emotion can't be copied, but it can understand it with studies from psychology, from sociology, and so forth. That's all being programmed into a machine. So it will have those. It won't be called emotion, but it will recognize emotions, but it won't have that instinct. If you know, for example, let's say there's been an accident and a doctor goes onto the scene, something inside that doctor would know where to cut, what to do. The instinct will be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where robots, a
Yeah.
bit like Superman, may have zoom, and scan it all very quickly and say, this is the thing, this is how we can fix it. But a doctor might have a different way of feeling something. Because emotions can be very powerful, but they can also be very damaging.
Yeah.
I've
Anyway,
got a
people, I
quote
think we
here
should
that
go on
I
to an
looked
advert.
up.
Oh, go on. Go for it, Karen. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just do this
Yeah.
quote before we finish it? And I looked at this even before I started talking to you guys this morning, before we started with this, because I thought, oh, what's this? At the end of life, what really matters is not what we bought, but what we built, not what we got, but what we shared, not our competence, but our character, and not our success, but our significance. Live a life that matters.
Amen, sister.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, it's been a
Oh,
thoroughly interesting debate, and Richard, thank you for coming on and having a
absolutely.
chat.
Yeah.
I find it interesting. Yes,
Oh,
yes, it
can it?
can. With control of a Dubry. But I find it interesting that Richard came on to argue against me saying that AI won't have that little bit of spark of human soul. And in the end, he says it won't have that ability to uh, have that creative
Instinct.
empathy and instinct.
Mm.
No, if you listen to what I said, I didn't disagree with you about the soul.
Richard, I was winding you up.
Up yours.
I was
I
winding
can
you up, mate.
because the humans,
Oh,
it
dear.
can't have it. It's impossible. It's a
It can't.
machine.
No, it
As
can't.
going back to Eunice's comment, AI give you a cuddle. Yes, it
Oh,
can. It can give you a cuddle, and it says
But
no
can
people
it
need
know what it
reassurance.
means?
If you look at this app right now, if it can understand your emotion in your face and in your voice, of course it will. It was still learning. Within 10 years, it's going to be different. I've always said it. Within 10, 20 years, when you're watching television and you think it's a real person presenting, it's not. It's an AI. And yesterday, a AI company came out, people who created Jake, they came out working with ChatGPT and say, this is our presenter. This is an AI presenter that you can have a conversation with and you would never know. There's lots of AI bots on Facebook, TikTok and that lot are there which you can set up and turn on, which you think is a real person, but it's a bot having a full-blown conversation with you.
But Jake was taken from somebody that was real, wasn't he, Richard?
Yeah, he was an actor.
Yeah, he was an actor. So he's
Yeah.
part, you know, so he did start off as a human, you know, and it's the it's the human aspect that the AI picked up to create Jake, and it's got the the actor's face and features and everything like that. So there is a human part within Jake.
It is, but if you watch television and films, a lot of AI characters, and you would think they're real, but they're not. They're generated by a computer. So how are we going to know? How do you know I'm not real?
Well, I've met you, so I know you're real. So yeah. But
on that note, I think we'd do a commercial break before we overrun.
I've given you a cuddle, so I know you're real.
But how do you know I'm not a robot? Anyway, go on, get on with it.
Please, Mr. Producer, can we have a commercial break so I can use the bathroom?
Introducing the SPTV app, your digital spiritual guide, for an enlightening journey like no other. Immerse yourself in a world of audio and visual content crafted to inspire, educate, and entertain. Seek guidance with our card of the day, choosing up to 6 cards for personal insights. Enhance your daily life with our wellness section, featuring nutritious recipes, affirmations, and balanced living tips. Explore our spiritualism section for a deep understanding of the religion, its principles, and spiritual answers. Unravel the secrets of the clairs and broaden your spiritual horizon. Easily find local readers, therapists, centers, or churches with our comprehensive directory. Stay connected with live broadcasts, check our schedule, and get to know our insightful presenters. Delve into the meanings of angel numbers, crystals, and a comprehensive list of divination meanings. All of this and more, available for free on the SPTV app. Download now at sptv.uk/app and start your journey with your digital spiritual guide.
Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. UK time, join Jordan Richards for his insightful show featuring joint mediumship communication with guests. The show includes soulful development coaching. Don't miss it.
Join us tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time as we welcome Paul Bannister for a captivating live interview and talk show, Spiritual Talk. Tune in for insightful discussions with special guests and live readings that promise to inspire and enlighten.
And we are back.
What a morning, Nick. What a morning.
It's been brilliant. Thank you for coming on, Richard. It was thoroughly engaging. Plus, I also know which button, speaking in a non-AI term, I also know which buttons to push. Boop, beep, boop. So I think we could all do with a little bit of healing, for it is that time. So I'm going to sit here with my healing book, and I'm going to let you read out some names. Friends, should you wish to give healing to someone you care about or someone you've never even met, should you want healing for yourself, should you want healing for those around you, now, my friends, is the time to ask. I've taken the bookmark out and I am poised and ready. So if you would like to share your healing thoughts and those who are in need of healing, now is the time to do so. But to lead us into that, I believe we have a little bit of a VT.
Yes, we normally do, don't we? Oh, lovely.
And it is, of course, healing and remembrance too. So if you want to remember, absolutely.
So Bernie West would like healing for her husband, Ivory.
Thank you.
Tony Coppins would like healing for Rochelle Lemberg.
Okay.
And could I have some healing for Chrissy, Eve, Ken, June, Keith and Jackie? And Bernie would like healing for her brother, Sean Adams. So if there's any heavenly birthdays around, you want to have
Absolutely.
remember somebody. Helen Smith would like healing for her partner's sister, Julie Hickman. Krish Pillay would like healing for herself and Ranshri Moodley and Sati Moodley. And also, oh, poor Stace, bless her. So for Stace Shaw and family. Margaret Bennett would like healing for her daughter Gillian. And Tony would also like healing for herself and the world. Shay Anderson would like healing for her whole family. And Sambi wants to send healing to everyone who needs healing and those that don't think they do. That's very true, Sam. Amanda Jones would like some healing for herself. She's going through some pain. And our very own lovely host and dear friend, Clara, just a remembrance as her mum passed away today on the 15th of May 2015. And also for Clara, as it's an emotional day. Sending you lots of love, definitely. Kelly Rockett would like healing for her angel in spirit, would have been 9 this year. So that's a remembrance. All right. Krish, we've added your names, so healing for Ranshri and Sati Moodley.
And you as well.
Yes.
And you as well. We did get that.
Healing for Michelle.
Yeah. And so every day, of course, I send my healing thoughts into this lovely healing book. But of course, it is a representation because that healing comes from spirit and it will continue to flow. And
Yes.
so I ask for healing to be granted to all those listed in this and all of the other healing books. Those we know, those we don't know, those who have no one to ask for them. We ask for them now. And perhaps I should also ask for healing for people's minds after the debate we have just had. So God bless you all and thank you. Big virtual AI hugs to Kelly, says Sambo. Absolutely.
Oh, that's lovely. Do you know what? It's amazing how we were all energetic.
I know.
With the talk and the passion and the emotion, and then when we went into that healing time, it just changed.
It does.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It
That
does, doesn't it?
always fascinates me. It really does.
We have healing just before the mediumship starts in our service. We have the obviously the opening prayer, then we have the notices, then it's the philosophy, then the reading, just so
Yeah.
we can prove that spirit are talking to each other up there. And then we have the hands-on healing, and the absent healing is one section as part of the whole service.
Mm.
And then we have the mediumship, and it's like whatever's gone before, there's just this peace, this tranquility, this joy, this calmness that just descends and
Yeah.
swims around us. And I think it's wonderful. Truly, truly is. But thank you, everyone, for all of your thoughts and opinions on that debate. We weren't quite expecting it to
No.
go that way, but it was nice to have Richard on and have a chat as well. I'll be honest with you, I'm with him. There's pros and cons, but I think there are a lot more pros from my perspective, because, you know, I just live in hope that humanity can always pull its finger out of its bottom and get it right.
Hope so.
And we're still here, so we must be able to. So far, so good.
I think we're a work in progress, Nick.
Absolutely.
That's what we are. We are a work in progress.
Vive la journey. Vive la journey.
It'll be interesting to see, you know, maybe in 20, 30 years' time, SPTV having two AIs having a debate on humanity, spirituality, on humans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It will be interesting, because I can remember as a youngster watching Tomorrow's World, and all those things that were on Tomorrow's World are now our reality.
Yeah.
But we still have to remember that we are spirit, and we have, you know, we have our ups and downs in life, and eternal progress is open to every human soul, and maybe every artificial intelligence as well. So who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? Who no. Speaking sci-fi, who knows? By the way, Nguti Gatwa is an amazing doctor, and I don't care what anybody says.
I haven't seen it yet, Nick, so I've got to watch it. I haven't seen it yet.
Mouth shut, say no more.
Okay. Yeah, don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Krish says we have to realize that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely.
yes. So, my friends, we've done healing, and we've definitely talked. Do you know, I think we could have probably gone on for another 2 or 3 hours.
Definitely.
I think maybe we'll pick it up again down the road. Either that, or as you said, the AIs in the future will probably pick it up for us and quote those humans, Nick, Karen, and Richard, talking about them, how little they knew.
Yes.
But there we go. That will be life. So let's see about spirit.
Okay. I'll go first today, as you went first on Monday. Okay. Right. So let's see who's going to join me from the world of spirit. I have a lady that joins me, and I know that she's a grandmother, and I also know that she's absolutely lovely. I feel, but I do feel that there was issues with her eyes. I know that there was problems with her eyes, and I know that and I know this is a little bit generic where grandmothers are, but I just feel that she sort of had this very large family, and I feel she was very much head of the family, and things changed after she passed to the spirit world. I know that the dynamics of the family, it was like she was the glue that kept everybody together, and it's like the family were all in sort of one area, and then they all started splintering off after her passing, because she was and she's laughing, because I feel like she was a bit like the AI in her family, because she just kept everybody sorted and in check and looked after them. But I just know that she would have had some chest issues. I feel there was heart, and also her stomach as well. And I do feel that she wants to reach out to her grandson. So I don't know if we've got any gentlemen on today, but I just feel she wants to reach out to her grandson. And I do feel that there was a strong bond between the two of them. And this grandson who's on here, I feel she spoilt him. And she spoilt him. And I just feel that she just wants to reach out, because he definitely was the favorite. I feel there was sort of he always made me smile, and I just feel that there was you and your grandmother would sit down and have not sort of interesting conversations, I feel. And I want to say, whoever I'm with had an interest as a youngster, because I want to look to the stars. I want to look to the moon, and so I do feel that this person would have had that believed that there was life out there. You know, when they were younger, they loved all the space stuff, and we've been talking about science fiction, so I know that the person here would have and she's showing me a robot, so you would understand that you would have had a toy robot, you know, the robot with the little square head on the square body with the arms, the sort of quintessential how we think robots are. But I just feel that this robot you used to talk to, so so Chris can understand this, because I just feel that you were all right, no, then it's not for me, but it was my cousin. Okay, so you can understand this is not for you, but your cousin. Okay, Krish, that's fine. Because I just feel that your grandmother wants to reach out here, because I just feel that she wants to reach out to get you to reach out to your cousin, because I just feel that there's some issues going on. It's like, again, it's like that your cousin needs somebody to talk to, or you need somebody to talk to. And I just feel that that's that your grandmother is reaching out, and she's trying to bring the family together, because there's lack of communication. It's not as it was coming together. And I do know here that there was family celebrations, and something about, she's saying Pentecost. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but I just feel that there was some big family gathering where everybody would bring food, and it would be a celebration. And I do feel she had a strong belief in God, and also, right, okay, you understand that. And there's a strong faith, a strong belief, and I feel that she's trying to get people to communicate again, trying to get people round, and she's showing me this big round table, and I feel she would have had like one of those lazy Susans where things would have just gone round, where everybody would have piled their plates up, and there would have been loads of food, and the smells are driving me crazy because it smells absolutely wonderful. So I just feel she's saying, remember those times, remember the laughter, remember how everybody shared their experiences. They gave their opinions, but they didn't sort of get irate. And I feel that someone's got irate and caused ricochets throughout the family, and it's been very wounding, I feel. And she's just giving me this image of all of you sitting around the table, laughing, joking, lots of banter between you. Remember that, she's saying. Don't think of the harsh words that were said. Try to put that to one side, and just remember that you are family, and you know, try to put your differences aside, because all of you need each other. You may not think that you do, but you are better collectively than you are on your own. Now, obviously, this is just her opinion, and she wants you all to come together. But I do feel, Krish, that you've been thinking of this. You want this too, but you don't quite know how to do it, because I feel there's a piece of something that's missing there. So she's saying, I'm behind you. Make the first step. You know, she's giving a bridge here. So you've got to meet somebody halfway, or just stand on that bridge and maybe, you know, let them come arrange something so that people can come together again. Because I do feel that she really wants the family to be united, and I feel that she's trying to help you succeed. So take her love.
Wonderful. Bless you. What a wonderful, wonderful message. And you know what? All of Krish's answers are absolutely of the affirmative, and I've been fascinated watching with our next communicator, who's been eavesdropping, it has to be said, but then he'd have to know when it's finished in order to take his time. But he was commenting along the way and reminded me to, you mentioned Pentecost.
Mm.
Well, Pentecost is this Sunday, and it means
Oh,
50
oh,
because it's the 50th day after, if you use inclusive counting, which they obviously did. It is actually this Sunday.
oh, I didn't know that.
So Sunday lunch, darling, Sunday lunch. It would be a good start. That's what a wonderful, wonderful reading. Well done, darling.
Thank you.
As I said, I've got someone here with me. He has been commenting that this whole idea of having to explain Pentecost was his idea. He was someone who was filled with knowledge and didn't mind sharing it, and would have this very gravelly, well-spoken voice. So, well, Pentecost is actually this Sunday, and of course, it does mean 50. It's Koine Greek, and so he had this very deep, certainly deeper than mine, very deep and gravelly voice, and he was a big man. I'm not talking huge. I'm talking built like an external convenience. He was broad shoulders. He was tall. He carried himself so well, but with this height and this broadness came such gentleness too. He was a very thoughtful man. He was going thin on top. He had these wonderfully, especially as he aged, these wonderfully saggy jowls. He just gave me a really, really dirty look. As I said, don't mention that. But he had these really, really emotional eyes as well. They could be piercing, they could be judgmental, but they could be compassionate, all in one sentence, basically. And he's wearing. He says, "Tell him what I'm wearing." He's wearing this, looks like a navy blue jumper, but it's not something you'd be seen out in. It's got holes in it. There's frays, there's pulls, but he liked it. He says, so long as it keeps me warm, I'm comfortable and I don't care. So he wasn't interested in that kind of appearances and other deceits. It was all about comfort and familiarity for this gentleman. So having said all that, this gentleman does come across as more of I know I want to say fatherly figure, but I don't feel it's biological. He's coming across more as this kind of mentor or uncle type figure, the one that you could go to and get away with saying what you wanted without the fear of that fatherly, discipline coming through. He was so knowledgeable and so wise. I am hearing the names Derek in connection. And so if anyone can understand this, of course, please let me know so I know I'm not talking to myself. Although at least I've got him and Karen's listening and Richard's probably listening. So it's not entirely on the own. But I did say probably because I know you get busy sometimes in the background when we're off doing our thing. But this gentleman is really, really keen to just acknowledge and be acknowledged, I think, is the theme for him, because I know that there weren't a lot of people that gave him the time of day, but those who got to know him truly did. He was a worthy mentor, a worthy guide, and a worthy person to be around. And although he could be a bit grumpy from time to time and occasionally a little bit uppity, he certainly did have that compassion when he was part and you were part of his circle. I don't know whether it's a liking of or whether it's just using that imagery, but I also got Monroe or Moreau. So I don't know if that's about the island of Moreau or Marilyn Monroe or something in between and completely unrelated. But it's that name or word. Can't take Derek, but can take it though. Kelly Rocket. And I can take, and Amanda Jones says I can take most of it. Right. Okay. So this we are running out of time, so I'm going to get a shift on. So just for the purposes of making sure that it get, oh, right, okay. Kelly Rocket says no. So it could very well be with Amanda. Amanda, you would understand the eyes, and in particular, you can take most, right. There's something about his lower eyelids either having big bags or being very, very droopy. And also, when he looked at you, it's almost like he would look at you with his eyes further forward than everything else almost. It's this kind of leaning into the conversation and looking kind of in that way. And that's when you knew he was engaged and interested, because it's almost like his eyes were coming towards you in that kind of interest that he had. And he gave people, when they were talking, he gave people total commitment and total attention. That doesn't mean to say that he agreed with them, and it doesn't mean to say that he wouldn't have his peace afterwards, but he always took on board what everyone else was saying. And he's saying, you do this, probably not with the angle of the head, because cool, that makes me dizzy, but you are someone who takes after, and this is where I'm talking about them. Oh, and the eyes were exactly like that. Thank you, Amanda. You do everything but without the eyes, although I will say that if you don't get your specs fixed or checked on a regular basis, you might end up like that, because he should have worn glasses, and it feels like he very rarely did. So it was more about getting that squinty focus on people. He says, so keep making sure that your eyes are good, otherwise you'll end up like me too in that way. And he's having a bit of a laugh about that, because there was this wonderfully warm humor. I don't think he'd like my sense of humor. I'm a little bit too naughty for him. I think he would push things to a certain level, but there was never, he didn't mind so much other people perhaps going over that level, but for him there was a limit and he stuck to it. And his humor was very warm, very compassionate, and very gentle. And it would always be compassionate and unassuming. It would always be about finding the funny thing rather than making use of anything either a little bit naughty or a little bit, about you. It would always be about just making people laugh in a gentle, warm way. He is definitely pre-Watershed in terms of his humor that he's sharing with me anyway. And I've got to say something about the healing, because as he's come forward now, my word, I knew that he felt large and tall and strong. But I've got to say, as I look at my hands now and he's overshadowing them, I've got massive panhandles here. And these massive panhandles might look like megatools, but the healing that is coming out of them is just something I haven't experienced in a while. So either it's to do with you and your healing and he's helping, or he was a healer either by nature or attitude. But I can just feel this healing warmth coming out of these huge, huge hands. And he's saying, this is what I'm sent. This is who it's for. This is for you. And this is absolutely what it's all about. I give you that healing and I keep you going with it. And I will say, God bless you. Thank you for listening. Be good.
Oh,
and I feel that with the big hands trying to give the kiss as well. Really, really massive. Thank you for calling out, Amanda.
That was lovely. That was lovely. And I'm sure Amanda appreciated that lovely message. That's wonderful. Yeah, it's funny when you get
Lovely
the big
guy.
hands. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are now coming to the end of this interesting, animated morning, and we certainly were let loose, weren't we?
Gonna say, well, next time we're gonna. Oh, you've been asking him for healing, Amanda. Bless your heart. Well, it's there. We're gonna have to have a little AI graphic of Richard poking in and being let loose too for this week's. Thank you everyone for being part of the conversation. Thank you, Richard, definitely for coming in on.
Absolutely. It was I really enjoyed it. I loved it because we really got to the nitty-gritty of the topic, and I definitely learned a lot. So thank you. I love debates. I love discussions like that, right up my street.
Absolutely. And the fact that you've opened your perspective a little bit and feeling a little bit less nervous about it now.
Absolutely.
It's always going to be a
And
positive
that's
thing.
how you grow and that's how you learn. So tonight there's no show on SPTV, but our wonderful Richard will be on TikTok giving readings between 7 and 8. And I'm sure he's going to be joined by the people that pop in the box to work with him, and the chat flows there as well. So yes, so if you want to come onto TikTok tonight to have a lovely card reading by our Richard, please do. And we will be back on Monday again at 10:30 for Start Your Day. And so it's, I'm confused with the days this week because I'm being away and coming back and I'm all confused. So I'm going to head off to Herefordshire in a couple of hours, and I'll be back home again on Saturday, getting myself ready for to start the week next week on Monday. What are you up to, Nick?
Circle this afternoon. I've got a demo on Saturday, and I'm sure there's something on Sunday. Oh yes, Pentecostal service with a lovely Reverend Ashley Oliver, another one of our esteemed colleagues.
Yes.
So it's going to be a bit of a busy week. We've got our Thursday show as well, and plus just getting stuff done. And now I've got to explore more stuff about AI that Richard has mentioned today as well. So it's going to be a busy one.
Absolutely.
But thank you all for being with us, everyone. From myself, from the gorgeous, gorgeous Karen Wood, from the wonderful voice in the air, and of course, any AIs that are watching, but mostly to you at home. Thank you for being with us.
Until next time, take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
Bless.